Hi, my name is Dana. I have the blog, The Stitching Book Nerd, and this is my first podcast, so welcome. I am, just to introduce myself, I am a cross stitcher or needleworker, and I've also started doing knitting recently and some other things. So I know that I watch a lot of knitting podcasts, and I've started to see a couple people talk about stitching and things like that on podcasts, and it's something that I would like to share with everybody. So I thought I would do this as well. Actually, I'm on the forum online, the Cross Stitch forum, and there's a user on there. I think her username is May. I'm not sure. There's some numbers after it, and she has some videos on YouTube where she updates her works in progress on stitching, and so she kind of encouraged me to do this, so thank you. So let's jump in. I started cross stitching. Well, I cross stitched a long time ago when I was young, but not really seriously. And then I found a project I wanted to do, and since I had done them before, I decided that, okay, I'll do this one. So I started it, and then it kind of exploded in my face in terms of how much I really enjoy stitching. So I started that project, which has since been put to the side as I picked up other projects I really wanted to do. That was about 7 months ago, and I have not slowed down since. In fact, it's gotten worse because now I do knitting and I want to do quilting and a bunch of things. So anyway, so let's talk about what I've been stitching. So I actually just finished something really early this morning or late last night, however you want to look at it, that is going to be a gift. Most of the things I make are gifts. I haven't figured out how to get out of this habit, but it's what I'm in. So to jump in, this is Ink Circles Metamorphosis. Yeah. So this is a wedding gift for one of my friends. She was my college roommate for 2 years. She's getting married. She is marrying a man from India, and so I picked, these aren't the colors that are called for on the pattern. So I picked reds, oranges, well, this is yellow, but golds for the colors to kind of sort of traditional Indian colors for weddings, and then I thought they were pretty. So anyways, I just got this done last night. I finished these two last night. I stitched for a long time. I'm quite sleepy right now. So anyway, the colors that I used, like I said, these weren't the same colors that the pattern called for. So just to let you know which colors I used, starting with the yellow, this is Gentle Art Sampler Threads Butternut Squash, Weeks Dye Works Daylily, Gentle Arts Fragrant Cloves, Gentle Arts Tomato, Crescent Colors, which actually Crescent Colors has just changed their name. I'm not sure what it's called now. Classic Colors? No, that's not it. Anyway, so that they're probably not called that anymore. But anyway, Crescent Colors Licorice Red, Crescent Colors Bandana, and Gentle Arts Currant. So this actually is like a really dark red, but it's kind of showing up black here. But other than that, they're pretty much true to the colors. So it's in a temporary frame. I'm actually going to see this friend to give this to her this week. We're going to San Francisco. Yay. I'm in Arkansas, by the way. And so I don't have time to have it professionally framed. So what I'm going to do is take it to her and give her like a Visa gift card or something with some money to have it framed. So it's like in a cheap frame from Michael's. There's no glass in the front. You can tell it's not stretched very well. I didn't put a lot of time into it. So anyway, that's done. Yay. This wasn't too bad of a project. Relatively, stitching takes a lot of time, no matter how big it is, so, yeah. Anyway, so that's done. This is my most recent finish, and it's what I've been working on the most. Like, I haven't worked on anything else for the last 2 weeks, because I was trying to get it done before we went to San Francisco, so, anyway, so that's that. So that's my only FO for this week, or excuse me, finished object. Now that that's done, I can focus on some other projects. So I'm going to show you what I've been working on. So one project I've been working on since last summer is a gift for one of my cousins who had a baby, or her second baby. This was meant to be a baby gift. That baby is now 3 months old. I hope to have this to her before she's a year old. It's just a really big project, and I had some other stuff that came up. I had some Christmas things I wanted to get done and things like that, so it really got pushed to the side. But this is Joan Elliott's Nursery Rhymes sampler. This is what it will look like when it's done. Well, flipped. So it's just got like all the nursery rhymes, kind of cartoony, and then it's a birth sampler, so you have like her name in the middle. This is what I have done so far. So I've got like the bottom corner is completely done with all the back stitching, the bottom right corner. This is almost done stitching, and then we'll maybe back stitch, and then like the whole top and her wing. And she's also missing an eye because I was not good at French knots at that point in time. But I'm pretty happy with this. I really like the detail on it, and I'm a big reader. As my usernames on various things may tell you. And so, kind of as a gift from me saying I encourage storytelling and stories and books and things like that. So, I think when I give it to her, I'm going to give her a big nursery rhyme treasury to go with it as well, like a big nice one. So, anyway, so that's one. So that needs to be, I haven't worked on this in like a month, 2 months, which is not good. So I'm going to get back on that. Okay. The other work in progress I have is a gift for my paternal grandmother. My grandfather passed away going on 2 years in April. And anyway, and she was a quilter and did lots of things, and so she would really appreciate a gift like this. Oh, by the way, for those of you wondering, I do give a lot of gifts, but I always think hard about who I'm going to give them to, so I try not to give them to people who don't appreciate how much time goes into these things. So, like, for instance, my friend that the Metamorphosis is for, which, by the way, is by Ink Circles, the design is, she has knit and things like that before, so I don't know if she still does, but, so I think she'll appreciate how much time it takes to do all these things. Anyway, so this is for my grandmother, and it is a band sampler that was in Sampler Quarterly. I don't subscribe to this, but I saw this particular issue at my local New York store, and I was looking for something to make for my grandmother, and I saw this, and I love the bright colors, and it's traditional but not traditional, and especially because a lot of samplers have really muted colors because designers want them to look old. I don't want them to look old. So, anyway, this is a really bright color, so it will look like this when it's done. It's quite large, as you will see when I show you what I've got done so far. There's just kind of floral motifs and things like that. And at the top, I've changed the top. This has like some random person's name and a date, and I changed it to be my grandparents' names and the year they got married. So, I'm really excited about this one, but I haven't had a lot of time to work on it. I was trying to have it done by her birthday, which is February 13th. That's not happening. I've switched it to Mother's Day, so this and Nursery Rhymes and another one I'm going to start will be my focus pieces for the next couple months. By the way, I'm not a stitcher or knitter. I can't just work on one thing. I would go crazy. It does not bother me to have lots of projects waiting for me. A lot of things I do, since they're gifts, have deadlines if that's Christmas or birthdays or things like that. And so that can be kind of stressful, but I work best under pressure anyway, so it's okay. So here's what I have done on the band sampler. I eat not very much. So I have started at the very top, and you can see where I started stitching is my grandfather's name, Joe. Actually, his name is Joel, but it won't fit in this box if I put the L there. So, and everybody called him Joe. So, anyway, so not a very big start, but look how big this is. It's going to be huge. This is the piece of fabric it's on. Oh, this is stitched on Lakeside Linens. This is 30 count linen, and it's coconut macaroon. This has quickly become my favorite light neutral fabric to stitch on. It's not white, but it's like a really light cream color. It's very bright and makes colors in my mind stand out really well. But it's not just stark white. Like the nursery rhymes, this is just white Ada. I mean, this came in a kit, so, which is fine for this. But for a lot of things, this just is a little bit richer than white. It's showing up very bright in the camera because I'm figuring out lighting and stuff. But yeah, that's also what Metamorphosis was on. So it's Lakeside Linens, Coconut Macaroon. I don't even like macaroons or coconut very much, and that just sounds good anyway. Okay, so that's what I have in progress. What I'm thinking I'm going to start soon, what I know I'm going to start soon, because this is a gift that actually has to be done before all those other ones, is a Blackwork sampler from my father-in-law. You may think a stitch gift is a weird thing to give to a man, because most patterns, let's be frank, aren't very manly. But this is a piece by, I think this is on this website called Creative Poppy. They have digital charts to download. They have several cute ones, and just different things than you see in the store sometimes. But it's like a Blackwork music sampler thing. He has a music room. He plays music a lot. I mean, he plays instruments. And so I was going to make this for him for his room. And I picked, to do it on, I picked this gray linen. I don't think that's showing up as gray. But it's like really, really pale gray. It's called, what is it called? This is also Lakeside. This is 40 count, so it's a much smaller count. And it's called Misty Rain. This is not meant to be stitched on 40 count. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's meant to be stitched like on 32 or something. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch it over 4 so that it's still big enough. So for every stitch on the chart, I'll go 4 stitches on this. And it shouldn't be too bad because it's Blackwork. And I'm also using black thread on this, but I'm using silks. So I've got these Dinky Dye silks. Dinky Dye is a dyer in Australia, I think. And they are so soft and gorgeous. And they have a little bit of gray in them. So it's black, but it's not really harsh black like DMC black would be. It's, yeah, so I think it looks really good. So that needs to get started ASAP. And so that's pretty much all the stitching. So I mentioned earlier that I've started knitting recently. I actually knit a scarf for my husband, who was then my boyfriend several years ago. It's black, made out of acrylic yarn, has holes in it, garter stitch. It works. I mean, it keeps you warm. It's fine. But anyway, so it's not that great. And then I knitted that, and at that point in my life, I don't know why I wasn't interested in this. So I knit it, and I was done. I was like, I'm not doing that anymore. Since I started doing cross stitch, it became basically completely obsessed with it. It's like all I think about, basically. For whatever reason, needlework and needle and thread have unlocked my creative part of my brain. I'm a math major. Not that means you can't be creative. I've never been like able to draw or paint. I've never been inspired to do any of those things. I've always wanted to be, but then not, and you can't force inspiration. And so anyway, so this has really just kind of unlocked that part of my brain, and so I really enjoy learning new things and techniques. And I started watching knitting podcasts just to have something to do that was related to what I was interested in, and that got me interested in knitting. So I started picking those things up. So I was like, well, I'll try a scarf again to kind of teach myself again what I was doing when it came to knitting for my husband. But I did a striped scarf, and this is like a burnt orange kind of and a gray, or a little beigey gray. And it's also not just straight garter stitch, it's like a 1x1 rib that I taught myself. This isn't a pattern or anything, I just kind of made this up as I went when I decided how I wanted to knit this. I'm carrying the yarn up this side so I don't have to weave in a bunch of ends. And it's going. I'm also still trying to figure out how I like to knit. So really all I've ever known how to do is like English tiles, like throwing. I have not really tried doing continental. I'm thinking about it, but I've also been watching those videos on like lever knitting or lever knitting, where you hold your right needle in your hand like a pencil and do a thing. I think the Yarn Harlot does it that way, and it's supposed to be really fast and ergonomic and all that whatnot. So I'm sort of messing around with that. So it's not making much progress. Also because it's 1x1 ribbing, you have to switch the yarn back and forth all the time to purl and knit. So that takes a little time, as opposed to like straight knitting across. So anyway, that's what I'm working on. This is and it's like Barocco vintage, maybe worsted. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. I have no idea. I thought I had the pieces papers with me, but I don't. And it's on size 9. Yeah, size 9 bamboo needles. I think these are clover needles. I'm not sure. This is what I bought at the knitting store when I asked them to help me pick out stuff. So since then I bought a lot of other needles, but I haven't used them yet because I've been trying to figure this thing out. So anyway, so that's what I'm working on. It is in this project bag I got for Christmas from my husband because I needed some project bags. This, actually, I have the thing for this. I already did. I'll tell you where it's from. This is from Jenny Gee on Etsy. Yeah, I think. Maybe on Etsy. Maybe not on Etsy. I don't know. But it looks really cute, and I like that it says, this whole keep calm fad that's been going on. Keep calm and carry yarn. I like it. And that's my favorite color, green. So, perfect. So that's that. So that's the only thing I'm working on knitting right now. I'm actually getting ready to start something for me. It's a miracle. I never make anything for me, or haven't so far, and I'm getting ready to. I was looking online for some, I'm sorry, I'm not looking at the camera. I was looking online for some good patterns for beginner knitters, but also so that I could learn some new techniques. And I found from Tin Can Knits, it's called the Simple Collection. This is one of their patterns. It's free on their blog and on Ravelry. And it's like a series, so you start with like a scarf or a blanket and then move to a hat maybe. And so each time they kind of teach you something new. It's like the hat, you learn circular knitting in the round, and on the scarf you basically just learn knit and purl, which I know how to do, but I want a hat and scarf that kind of match. So plus it'll give me a chance to practice whatever knitting technique I decide to end up on. So anyway, so I'm probably going to start that next. And then also with this is the hat, so that's wheat, and then the hat that kind of matches it is called barley. So I'm going to do those. I think both of them call for a worsted, yeah. Anyway, so the scarf I'm going to do, they're both in Madeline Tosh. Okay, so let me stop for a second. So, as most knitters and stitchers know, stash is a vital part of your hobby. About a couple weeks after I started knitting, a new local needlework store opened. And since then, I've been a very strong customer there. I'm almost certain I've single-handedly kept her afloat for a while. That's not true, but she has lots of customers. But anyway, so I've already got a pretty decent stitching stash going on. So when I started looking into knitting, I kind of bypassed the whole, I knit, like where you buy acrylic first, like at Michael's or Hobby Lobby, and then you discover later that they are nicer yarns. I sort of just jumped on past that step and went straight to the nicer yarns. I do have some acrylic to like practice things with. Really it's just for me to practice techniques with more than anything, not really to make something. Anyway, so yeah, so of course my first scarf I'm going to make for myself is going to be out of Madeline Tosh because that's how we do. This is Tosh Vintage. It's 100% superwash merino worsted weight. This is in the graphite colorway. It's a really nice gray. Gray is one of my favorite neutrals for me. I don't like black too much, although this is really dark. It looks almost black, but it's not. Anyway, so I'm going to make the scarf out of that. And then for the hat, I didn't want them to be the same color. Just like the patterns kind of match each other. So for the hat, I also have a good local yarn store, so that helps me. I got, what is this? Oh, This is Anzula Luxury Fibers hand-dyed yarn for better worsted. I love that base name. And the paprika color. So it's this really lovely pinky orangey color. It's coming up a little bit, tiny bit more pink than it is, but coral. That's what pinky orange is called, coral. Which is, that color has been really popular in kind of fashion trends in the last year or two, coral and mint. I think coral can stand up the test of time a bit better than mint can, but I don't really like this color anyway, regardless of trend, so that's what they're going to be, and I think these two colors go really well together. So I'm really excited about that. So I hope to cast this scarf on this week and take it with me on the plane to San Francisco along with my husband's scarf. I don't think I'll do the hat until we get back because it's going to be my first time knitting in the round, and I'm not going to do that on the plane, so I need to focus on that. Anyway, so that's what's coming up for knitting. And then I think that's all of my works in progress, or like what's coming in. I did have some stash enhancement this week. Not very much though, because I got a lot of stuff for Christmas, and yeah, so I'm kind of not supposed to be doing this. And also, when we go to San Francisco, I'm going to Imagine It's, which I heard on the Yarn Raising podcast, which is hosted by Malia. She used to live in San Francisco, and she said that's like her favorite yarn store of all time. One, because it used to be her local yarn store, and then I guess it's just good. And I'm really excited about going, so that will be fun. I'll probably buy something there, but not very much. We'll see. Anyway, so one thing I want to learn how to do is knit socks. I got a lot of sock yarn, nice sock yarn for Christmas, but I'm kind of afraid to use nice sock yarn on my first pair or so of socks. So I got some sock yarn from Michaels. It's this loops and thread luxury sock, super fine. Let's see, 60% super fine merino, merino superwash, and then 30% nylon. It says it's a cashmere blend, whatever. Anyway, it was like the only sock yarn there that's not super duper scratchy. Although I think I have some Peyton's Croy too. Anyway, also for practice. Apparently I'm going to make like 5 pairs of practice socks. I don't think so. Yeah, so that color, it's kind of folly, orangey, bluesies, beigeies, these colors. Self-striping. Crazy socks. So it should be fun. So I got that. And then apparently I have it in my head I'm going to knit a bunch of washcloths. So I got some Lily Sugar and Cream. Because this was on like super sale at Michael's. Like it was super cheap. So I have a couple skeins of this. I have some in the solid colors because I found those like, I really like the wash dishcloth patterns where you can use pearl bumps to like make a raised pattern up out of the fabric. And so I've got some to do like those fruit cloths that are on Ravelry. But this is a stripedy one that would be like just a textured pattern. And also I'm planning on using dishcloths to help me practice like different stitches and things like that. So that should be good. So yeah, so that's that. So not really exciting stash enhancement because it was from Michael's, but it's still stash enhancement. What else? So that's pretty much all I have going project-wise right now, for the most part. I have a few other projects, works in progress or unfinished objects. I don't like calling them unfinished objects. I have plans to finish them. It's not like I've decided I don't want to do them anymore. But they're not anywhere close to coming up in the rotation soon. Anyway. So right, so we're going to San Francisco this week, so that'll be a lot of fun. We have many plans to eat and drink and be merry. And go to the yarn store, which I had to convince my husband was something I should do on vacation. But the other exciting thing that's happening this week before we go to San Francisco is, so I've been watching all these podcasts, and in addition to knitting, a lot of these women talk about spinning, and I was like probably most normal people or muggles and thought, why would I spin my own yarn? I can buy it at the yarn store. Why is this something I need to be doing? And then I kept watching podcasts and saw fiber and just looking at dyed fiber makes me so excited because the colors are so pretty. So, a few weeks ago we were in Austin and I went to Hill Country Weavers and bought yarn. You have to understand, like right now I'm so new at knitting that I barely know what I'm doing when it comes to like yarn weight and how much I should get and what I could use it for and things like that. So I just walk around like especially there, they have such a huge store with so many different kinds of yarn. I just kind of walked around in the fog for an hour while my husband was like, "What are you doing?" I think he actually went and sat in the car trying to pick out what I wanted. And then when I was walking around, I was like, I thought it said that they had spinning stuff, so I was just interested in looking at it. I didn't see any. And then we went across the street. It's like in this in the middle of Austin in like a shopping district and on South Congress. And we went across the street and did some shopping, and I looked over across the street again at Hill Country Weavers. Of course, what can I think of but going back to the yarn store? And I see on their sign it says, you know, knitting, weaving maybe, and spinning. And so I go back over there. My husband's looking at me, I'm like, I'll be right back. So I go back over there, and I go in. Oh, and I had to go pick up my yarn because they were winding it for me. So I'm a ball winder, and I'm not doing that by hand. So anyway, so I went back to get my yarn, and I said, "Hey, do you guys have spinning stuff?" And they did. It was like in this back room that I thought was like a, you know, back storage room that I wasn't supposed to go into. So I go back, and there's like spindles and wheels and fiber and stuff, and I'm like, okay, let's calm down. I don't know how to spin. I've never spun. Can you point me to like a spindle and some fiber to practice with? So she did, and that's great. And then I came home and realized I don't know how to spin. And of course you can teach yourself, and that's fine. And usually with most things I can teach myself. Like I taught myself basically everything I know about stitching, figure things out on my own. For the most part, knitting, I'm comfortable. Actually, I like teaching myself better, unless I have a specific question, because I can just kind of make mistakes on my own and figure things out. And like with knitting especially, it's important for the way my brain works. I have to understand like what is actually happening when I knit. Like how is it making the fabric that it's making and the structure and all the things. So that kind of just takes time of messing with things. And so that's fine. Anyway, spinning, I've read stuff, watched videos. It's one of those things like I really just want someone to show me how to do it. So I've been thinking about it, and there's not spinning stuff at our yarn store. I hadn't asked them about spinning, but I was going to. And then I happened to just be looking on Ravelry at groups. I was like in Arkansas, and I saw that there was a Central Arkansas spinning guild. And so I got on there and looked, and they have meetings every month. And on there, talking about meetings, they're talking about, you know, they like to show people how to do new things and show people how to spin. And so I joined the group, put out a thing, and said, hey, does anyone want to, I'm in Little Rock, does anyone want to teach me how to spin? And someone responded, yes. And so Monday, I'm going to meet her at the library and learn how to spin. I'm so excited. So I've been telling all my family, and they think I'm crazy, but they think I'm crazy anyway. So yeah, so I'm going to learn how to spin. So that should be interesting. Still have not decided why I'm learning how to spin. But I am. Probably still going to buy more things, because I like buying stuff. Anyway, okay, so my blog, so I have a blog as booknurd.com. That is not what it's called, sorry. booknurd.blogspot.com. Where I talk, mostly recently I've been posting about stitching, but I also am a big reader. So before I started stitching, basically all I did in my free time was read. I play video games some, and I do other things, but for the most part, reading. I always have a book with me. My purse size is defined by how big it is. It's like I can't ever carry clutches because I have to be able to put a book in them, and most of those don't carry books. So I'll usually have big purses. I usually have at least one book, almost always two books, even if I know there's no possible way I'll have time to read wherever it is I'm going. So, because the one day you think you don't, you need one. Anyway, so I like to read. I have found since I started cross-stitching and things like that, it's really cut into my reading time, which is sad. But I don't want to give up stitching, obviously, so I've decided to, I used to not listen to audiobooks very much. Not that I personally feel that way for everyone, but for me, I felt like it wasn't really reading, and I didn't pay attention as well, but I've kind of made myself learn how to focus in on that while I'm stitching, because otherwise there's just no way I'll read any of the books I want to read if I can only read a few minutes a day. And with my work and things like that, I just don't have that much time to stitch and read and work and study and things like that. So I'll tell you about what I'm studying later. Anyway, so back to what I was talking about. That was a tangent. So my blog and what I hope this podcast or videos or whatever these are become is also talk about books I'm reading, because it's something I'm interested in. So I'll talk about what I'm reading and what I'm listening to. So what I'm reading. I got this book for Christmas. It is a mystery by a British author. It's This Was Adonis' Murder by Sarah Caldwell. This is a series of books that's focused on some British lawyers. The main character is the narrator. I don't remember their name. Hillary something. One really interesting thing about this is the narrator. You don't know if it's a boy or a girl. The character's name is Hillary. Here in the States, we would typically think of that as a girl's name, but it can be a boy's name. And you never hear the narrator referred to with any gender-specific pronouns or anything that would give away what their gender is. And it's just really cleverly done. I don't know. The whole way that sexuality is not a theme in these books. Really, it's not like an issue that's being dealt with, but it's the way it's brought up and mentioned is just fascinating to me. It's just not, I don't know, it's just not a focus, like man or woman, or what their sexual orientation is. It's just kind of like, it is or it isn't, and it's not such a crucial point that we tend to make it out to be right now in society. So, anyway, but it's British authors. I'm an Anglophile. I can't help it. So, it's very verbose and articulate. Writing, even if it's talking about silly things, they're funny. The mysteries tend to deal with law. Like, this one deals with tax accounting, but in a funny way. I'm doing a horrible job describing these. But I read the first one, or not the first one, the last one, really liked it and said something about I wanted the rest of the series, or I'd like to read them, and my husband got them for me for Christmas. So this is the actual first one. It's very good and funny. So go look at the description on Goodreads. I am not a good book synopsis person. Sorry. Okay, the other book I'm reading is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This came out in like the 90s, I think. It's extremely popular. It's like a book that apparently a lot of people say is their favorite book, or one of their favorites. It's literary fiction. I'm not a huge literary fiction person. I tend to stick with, before I started and across it, I'm an obsessive person. So if I like something, I really like something, and I want to know all about it. So before it was Crossage, it was books and publishing, specifically children's publishing. I'm just really interested in the children's publishing industry. So not just in, like, reading children's books, which I do, and I like doing that, but also, like, how children's books affect child development, why certain books get published, the politics of the children's publishing industry, things like that, really fascinate me for some reason. Maybe because when I was growing up, books had such a huge effect on my life. Anyway, so back to what I was saying. So when I read for stories and characters, and not so much for pretty writing or, I don't know, just something about literary fiction does not float my boat most of the time. I find it takes itself too seriously, and it's boring a lot. Yeah, so I like fan is like traditional fantasy, but just something that's interesting, really, that has something more of a premise to it. And I also don't like depressing things. I don't so much anymore, but as a young child, I read to escape issues in life a lot, and so if something was depressing, I was like, well, I already have problems, and I don't want to read about other people's horrible problems, and that's all that happens. So, like, if you have a horrible problem, but you're also learning magic, then at least there's something cool going on in your life, as opposed to just having horrible problems. So that's kind of my reading history. What was I talking about? So, yeah, so this is not a typical book I would read, but as I've gotten older, that sort of started changing, and books that just sound interesting to me now, I will read. So this is a book about a group of students at a private liberal arts school, which I went to. Not the school I went to, but I went to a private liberal arts school. But it's like a group of students that are in this like really small class where they learn Greek, like the ancient Greek, the language, philosophy, and all these things, and they kind of start making up rules for themselves in terms of morality and things like that, and thinking things like that they're kind of above other people. Once again, do not take the synopsis that I give on books as what it's about, because I'm really, really bad at generalizing books. Read it on Goodreads. Anyway, I'm about, how far am I into this? Almost 100 pages. I like it so far. It's not like a page turner for sure. Well, I guess it is. When I pick it up, I read it for quite a while. It kind of reminds me of, there was a book I read just a few years ago called The Magicians by Lev Grossman, who is kind of like, it was advertised as like grown-up Harry Potter. So it's like about a kid that goes to, finds out he's going to like a magic college, basically, not a school, not like a, high school. And, but it's, so it deals with that, but it also deals with very adult themes, and it's definitely for adults and not children. And it also had a group of students in it, and like how they kind of use their magical powers to be successful in life and have fun and sex, drugs, whatever. So it kind of reminds me of that, except for no magic, ancient Greek instead. So yeah. So that's good. So that's what I'm reading. What I'm listening to right now, I'm actually listening to a book I've read before. One of my favorite authors growing up was Tamora Pierce. She's a young adult fantasy author who writes mainly, except there's a few exceptions, but writes mainly female characters. And her first series was The Song of the Lioness Quartet, so it's 4 books. This is Alana, the First Adventure. Alana? I think it's Alana. So this is the actual book. This is my copy, but I'm listening to it now. So I read it many, many years ago, and I'm now listening to it again because I haven't read it in a long time. I reread books, so audiobooks actually give me a good way to reread books. I don't have to invest the time to actually reread them. If I stop paying attention for a little while, it's okay because I already know what happens. And yeah. So anyway, so the audiobook, I like it. The narrator's voice is not annoying, and so far it's been great. So it's pretty short. It's only like 8 hours because the book itself is pretty short. It's like 200 pages. So yeah. So that's what I'm doing right now. I think that's it. This has been really disjointed and weird. And I'm sorry, this is my first shot at doing this. And I hope if anyone watches this, it may be like one person off the cross-stitch forum. Thank you for watching it. If you would like to get in touch with me, you can comment on my blog. That's booknerd.blogspot.com. I will attempt to figure out how to put words at the bottom of the screen or whatever. I'm on the cross-stitch forum as Book Nerd. By the way, Book Nerd is spelled BOOKKNURD. I have to spell it different because why not? Book Nerd on cross-stitch forum, Ravelry, and Instagram, Twitter, which I don't really use that much. If I just signed up, so who knows if I'll start using it a lot or not. As Book Nerd with the underscore between book and nerd. And yeah, so you can find me at all those places. I guess that's it. Oh, I guess I'll just talk about myself a little bit. I'm in my 20s. I'm married. No children. We have a cat. I just finished my master's, so I'm done with school, hopefully, for the rest of my life. I have a bachelor's in mathematics. I study pure mathematics as an undergraduate and applied mathematics as a graduate student. So I don't want to teach, and I'm not very good at proofwriting, so that ruled out academics for me for the most part. And I don't particularly enjoy academic research. So I have my master's. I just got it in August. That's exciting. And what I do right now, I'm actually an actuary. sort of. Well, I'm a actuary in training. So actuaries work. Most people think of them as working for insurance companies. It's what Ben Stiller's character was in the movie Along Came Polly. It's basically, the best way to describe it is risk management. Actuaries help predict financial risk or risk for insurance companies in terms of, like, if I sell you a policy, how much money should I set aside for you? So, like, if someone tells, I'm a fairly healthy young woman who's not planning on having children at this point in time. So if you sold me an insurance policy, I'm probably not going to the doctor. So you could sell me a policy for not much money and then not have to keep much money on hand because I'm not going to put in claims for a lot of money. If I was 80 years old and I had 4 heart attacks and I needed 5 prescriptions every month, my insurance would cost more. Actuaries decide how much more it would cost. Basically, we are not responsible for how much your insurance costs. We try to make sure the insurance company has enough money to pay you when you need it. Anyway, that was a lesson for you in actuary science. So I've just kind of started my career in that. We have to take all these exams to get accredited. So that when I say study, I mean I'm studying for those exams. I'm not in school anymore. I work full time. That's just part of my job, basically. Literally part of my job. I get part of my work hours are scheduled to study. Yeah, so I do that. So I like math. I'm analytical, and things like that. So it works for me. I know a lot of people don't like math. You don't have to tell me you don't like math. I understand. Yeah, that's what I do. So basically all I do right now is stitch and read and work, and I exercise sometimes. We do CrossFit. We're not crazy, but and often in my life, CrossFit and cross-stitch get mixed up very often in conversations, and it confuses everybody. But that's me. So anyway, thank you for watching. Sorry if I was rambling at times. I'm kind of nervous. I'm not a person who likes being in front of people, so yeah, and sorry if I didn't look at the camera. I think that's it. Oh, I hope to do these videos semi-regularly. I don't think I'll do them every week, especially for stitching. Cross-stitch takes a long time. I don't make enough progress in a week to warrant to put it on video, so I think I'm going to do every 2 weeks, plus with my study schedule and things like that. I don't have time to do this every week. Plus that way I'll actually have something to talk about. So I'll do that, and anyway, I'm going to plan on putting this on YouTube. If I think the need arises, I will consider doing an iTunes podcast, but I'll put it on my blog, and that will probably be where it will be for the time. So please comment with any suggestions or things you'd like to hear about, or things like that, or you can send me a message on the Cross-Stitch forum or on Ravelry, and that's pretty much it. So thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of the week.